Vibes. Let me just get my questions out of the way quickly. The first one, you just spoke about how it's important for the media to provide balanced sides to their stories. The NGO coalition's report that you mentioned, while they did say that the election was generally free and fair, they also mentioned that your behavior during election day.
Whose behavior?
Your behavior, sir. They refer to it, as I quote, as a disruptive presence when you appeared in constituency. The report alleged that you appeared in constituency 4, it also said that you witnessed the conversation, NGO observers witnessed the conversation with you berating Defence Force officials for not moving people from your constituency around in their vehicles quickly enough, and also that you were seen to be participating in some of the altercations that went on in constituency 4. So I just like your response to that so that that can be balanced with what the NGO coalition has said about you. Secondly, I know you've already said that you're going to make a statement about France and the blacklisting, but I just like a quick preview. I'd just like to know, what is the response that we're going to have going forward? Does it mean we're going to try to accelerate our TIEA sign-ins so that we can be removed from the list as quickly as possible? Are we going to consult with the French government to try to get our names off it? Just some clarity on that. And third, I know you mentioned the Libyan Development Bank, and that reminded me about your recent trip to Libya. While you were gone, there was considerable talk about you not being there and there not being any person that could be sworn in as acting prime minister. So just like to know, with your trip so soon after you were sworn in, and with the fact that no other minister had been appointed, do you feel in any way as though you breached the Constitution? Thank you.
Maybe I should start from the bottom up. No, when I visited the United Kingdom and Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, and eventually on my return to Tripoli in Libya, I do not think I breached the Constitution in any way at all. In fact, I found this a very interesting question to ponder upon, because I am wondering in what way would I have breached the Constitution? Does the Constitution say that one cannot travel until the government is fully put in place? I think once the Prime Minister was elected to office and the Prime Minister was appointed and had taken the necessary oaths of office, I think that our thinking is very archaic in this case. I don't believe that we are still living in the days when the head of government or the administrator was going to get aboard a ship that was going to take 2 weeks to travel across the Atlantic to go to England, and so he would have lost contact with his country for a while. The cell phone is available, and there are faxes, there are missions and embassies through which normal business could be conducted. And so I do not think there was any breach of any constitution at all on that score. The second part of your question, the response to the French government. The French government, as I said, has acted, unfortunately, very prematurely. I will issue a statement to indicate why the French government has acted prematurely. I did indicate that the OECD, at the last forum in which we participated, had taken a position that by the end of March, I think it was, countries which had not signed the specified number of TIAs or treaties would have been so blacklisted. We do not know why the French government acted out of turn, but we are very confident that with the pace at which we have been signing on these different agreements and treaties, definitely the deadline would have been met by this government, by this country. And so there would not have been any need for the OECD to blacklist St. Kitts and Nevis. And that is why it is strange that France alone, of all of the member countries of the OECD, acted unilaterally, prematurely, and took a position which, to a large extent, we are still trying to analyze as to the specific reason for this action. But it does not stop the program of the government. The government continues on its program to interact with several countries. As I said, we have already signed 9 different TIEs, including 1 treaty. We have initialed 11, meaning that we have already negotiated, and the terms of the agreement have been basically agreed to, and we are now waiting for those countries, those 11 countries, to do their internal adjustments to ensure that it is okay for final signature. And so, as I said, the pace at which we have been going is a very good pace. In fact, we've done much better than several other countries in the Eastern Caribbean and beyond the Eastern Caribbean. And as I said, we have also 6 more countries that we have already made contact with in order to proceed with the negotiations. And as I said, we would have met the deadline definitely by March. You mentioned the need for balanced reporting, etc. And that is why I felt that it is so unfortunate that the report from the coalition does not suggest any kind of balance at all with regard to the way this report has been put forward. Let me tell you why I say that. When the members of the observer team came into the country from both CARICOM, the OAS, and the Commonwealth, they did what I think was the courteous thing absolutely necessary and called upon the Prime Minister as the minister responsible in the government for elections. When they completed their exercise, before they left the country, they all, that is the head, all again met with the Prime Minister and discussed their preliminary reporting, etc., and asked questions and made comments for clarification, etc. Obviously, matters which were unclear to them, they sought clarification, and such was given. It is very strange that I'm living here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I do not even know who was heading the NGO coalition that sought to monitor our elections. I do not even know whether they had the common courtesy to even send a copy of their report. And it appears to be not even a preliminary report, but a final report to me, the Prime Minister, or even sought to have any discussion with me on any matter that needed to be clarified. I want to make a very clear statement here this afternoon that the report that you quoted from, the section of the report that you quoted, is not only false, it is malicious and deliberately so, I believe. Because if someone reported that the Prime Minister appeared to be disruptive, what is so difficult for a member of the coalition team to come and meet with me and say, Mr. Prime Minister, this matter was being reported by one of the NGO observers. Could you give us any response to exactly why you were in half a tree? If you were seen speaking to a military officer, and that did not even happen, why were you speaking to a military officer? To simply take someone's reporting, which is false and which is a lie, and put it into a document that appears to be a final document as a report of their assessment of the elections as monitors, it is terribly, terribly bad. And I want to say today in this conference that the section that you quoted from is false, it is malicious, and in my opinion, it has been deliberately put as part of the political agenda of members of the coalition who seem to have a political agenda that they are pursuing for the PAM party that has lost the elections on the 25th day of January 2010.